I 24 female found out that my fiancé 35 male slept with his ex-girlfriend early in our relationship and was still in love with her until we got engaged. I've been in a huge slump and need some perspective. I met my fiancé through my ex-best friend. Let's call her Maria, who happened to also be my fiancé's ex. Our friendship ended a few months ago because I was tired of her negativity and knowing she was cheating on her husband. Long story short, I recently found out through explicit detailed texts between my fiancé and Maria that they had had a secret wild night a few months into our relationship. At that time, I thought our relationship was going great. Lots of dates, sweet talk, many nights together. Upon being caught, my fiancé then revealed that his romantic feelings toward her ended right after a huge romantic getaway we took to Hawaii. A month before we got engaged. We had been talking about getting engaged months prior. I want to forgive him and work on the relationship. But I'm incredibly hurt and questioning how meaningful majority of our relationship has been. I cry almost every day because it's hard to come home to him. And while he seems sincere, he is acting like how he always has. And seems exasperated that I'm still so sad and he can't do anything about it. He says he is willing to do anything to help our relationship. But he lacks initiative. He just expects me to tell him what I need verbatim. Like a guide to heal from infidelity itinerary. But I'm tired and I don't want to micromanage right now. I want him to research things himself. Talk to his close friends. And really spend some time reflecting on how he can support me. Am I asking for too much? What do you guys think? What did you expect your spouse to do? Update. I'm packing my bags. Thank you guys so much for the recommendations and honest conversation. Me and my fiancé had another conversation, and it went even more south in that he discussed his severe lack of empathy and inability to feel sadness. I'm cutting the string. Any relationship based on the foundations that yours is bound to failure. You don't build a house on sand after all, and this is what yours is built on. But the really telling thing is that he feels so little for what he has with you that he is barely doing the bare minimum required of him. That is not how reconciliation works. The expectation from the betrayed of the wayward partner is that they pull out all the stops to win you back. They should be showing with their actions as to where their heart lies. To show true and proper remorse and to act and behave like every day may be your last together to make it worth your time to be with him. It is not aren't you over this yet? Not by a long shot. You are unmarried and have no children. Do not marry this man. That would be so foolish. You won't meet people that regretted leaving cheaters. But you will find ton of regret from people who stay with cheaters, especially if you can leave without a clean break. And then, after a cheater shows you who they are, you go and tie yourself to them legally and irrevocably with children. When someone shows you who they are the first time, believe them. Think about the millions big little lies he told you to facilitate this affair with. Your friend lying to your face. He seemed sincere. He also seemed faithful. The best indicator of a person's future behavior is their past. He was cheating when you thought the relationship was good and with your friend. Life is hard. Marriages have lots of rough patches and require work. Do you really believe your cheater capable of that? There's about every reason for you not to stay with this guy. Always ask yourself why a man would date a woman 11 years his junior. And it's not because you're so mature for your age. It was a double betrayal. He conducted an affair with your best friend. It's possible they both exploited your youth. And you were used to distract him when she was occupied. Since she couldn't give him as much of her attention given her husband and kids. Your cheater's not a safe partner. A good reconciliation candidate confesses. Is willing to do what they have to in order to earn your trust back. Your cheater does not meet these categories. Please visit Chump Ladies and read Cheating in a Nutshell. If your cheater were earnest about repairing your relationship, he'd be the one on Reddit asking for help. Not you. He'd be scheduling internal counseling to see a therapist. He'd be offering to submit to a poly to prove he's told you everything. He'd be writing you a detailed outline of the affair. He'd be reading affair recovery books. He'd be watching affair recovery YouTube vids and podcasts. He'd be answering all your questions repeatedly with patience. He'd be doing the work. But your cheater is doing nothing. He wants you to get over it already and rug sweep it. And if you do that, What happens when someone gets away with bad behavior with none or little consequences? They'll repeat it. And they get better at it. You'll be essentially giving him permission to continue disrespecting you and cheating. And TBC. What relationship are you trying to salvage? Because the one you had consisted of your cheater lying and manipulating you from its inception. Infidelity sucks at any age, but thankfully you have the benefit of youth. There are men out there who will be faithful and treat you with respect and not duck your friends. Your cheater is not the end all be all. And you will survive this heartbreak. Trust me. I know this is hard. And you're hurting. Getting rid of him will be one of the best things you do. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you can start to recover. You'll look back in the future and be so happy you found out who he is before you pledged your life to him. You are likely neglecting yourself physically, which is normal. But you must take care of yourself. You are in shock and shock dehydrates you. Dehydration negatively affects your brain functioning, so forego alcohol and hydrate. Exercise or take walks. Eat healthy or drink nutritional shakes if you have no appetite. If you're not sleeping well, see a doctor. I wish you the best. Thank you for the thoughtful answer. You are totally right. Believe it or not, I actually left our house to stay with family, and will be getting the rest of my belongings tomorrow. My fiancé tonight admitted to also sting Maria during the time period and told me that while he feels anxious and guilty and loves me, he has no empathy and is not sad. So that sealed the deal for me. Thank you and best wishes. Wow. So the guy is a sociopath. Can't leave him fast enough. Also tell everyone who asks why you called it off the truth. This guy isn't a safe partner for anyone and people need to know. He is not a sociopath, he just doesn't love this girl, so he doesn't care about her feelings. If he did, he wouldn't have cheated. This sounds like an insurmountable red flag to me. I was cheated on and tried to get over it, only to find the lies had continued. Obviously your situation might differ. There is a book I picked up during this time that helped me set some appropriate boundaries for future relationships called Not Just Friends. That's what I honestly worry about deep down. Thank you for the recommendation, I will definitely look into it. Second story. Am I obsessed because of trickle truth? Wife female 44 cheated on me male 45 before we were married. Trickle truth for more than 20 years. Of course I think that there is more. I've been seeing a counselor who suggests that I just forget about the truth. Almost as if the truth doesn't matter. I am trying to salvage the marriage, but the truth has been my condition for moving on. Should I just forget about it? Perhaps act like none of it happened because it was long ago. Sometimes I feel like a horrible person for feeling this way. I have abandoned my efforts to ask my wife questions as we agreed to because it leads to an argument despite me being calm and in my opinion gentle and non-judgmental. Does the truth simple not matter? I've read a couple of books that suggest that my quest for the truth is not unusual. Update. Still trying to give it a shot. But today is yet another divorce day. This time she admitted to cheating multiple times during our engagement. Long backstory, read my previous posts. Wife of 25 plus year cheated on me before we were married while we were dating and engaged. Every now and then I need to talk with her about it because the hurt resurfaces. This current cycle has lasted a bit longer than I would like. She has trickled truth now for 25 years. While I knew that she cheated while we were dating until today, she had only admitted to making out with a guy while we were engaged. Of course I have always thought that there was more. She has never had a sit-down conversation to admit anything. I have always had to listen for slip ups or she forgets what she already admitted. Last night she and I were discussing why I don't share my day as much. Why I don't share my fears, desires, etc. The conversation led to her betraying me. Last night I mentioned again that she had ex after we were engaged. Summary of conversation. Me. Despite my commitment, you still had ex with others after we were engaged. Her. Yes, I did. I didn't know what I wanted, etc. Me. But you knew that I was serious and really loved you. Her. Yes. Me. But you still decided to have ex with others after we were engaged. Her. Yes. I then got her to repeat it so that it was clear. In previous conversations she would say that she did not understand what I was asking. Earlier this afternoon it came up again. I really wanted to give her a chance to backtrack. So I was a little more pointed. Me. So you knew that I loved you? Her. Yes. Me. You had the ring as a reminder symbol. Her. Yes, I did, but I didn't know what I wanted. Me. Engaged. Knowing I loved you. With ring you had sex with multiple others during our engagement. Her. Yes, but I have not been unfaithful while married. I then asked how many times people she deflected. Call me stupid, but I do believe her when she says that she had not been unfaithful other than lying during our marriage. It's the same way that I knew that she was lying about other things. This is a breakthrough in a way because she has not previously admitted to having sex with others during our engagement. I still have not clued her in on the fact that she has not divulged this previously. She might still try to backtrack. I still want this to work because not all of the 25 years has been bad. And we still have a child at home. Not really asking for advice. But would love to hear from people in similar situations. I find that somewhat cathartic. Ladies, I understand my wife is embarrassed by her actions as they relate to me, but why not come clean when I asked over the years? I would have been over it by now. I was also deployed to Afghanistan for a year early in the war. I asked her if she would have been okay with me dying having never getting the truth that I asked. May I ask, why are you still sticking around? Sunk cost fallacy. Honestly. At this point it doesn't matter anymore. Unless I am super mistaken, he says she's been trickle-truthing him for 25 years. Which means he wasted 25 years on an unrepentant serial cheater who never really came clean. Showed remorse. Or changed. Let's assume Up was in his 20s back then. That means he's in his 50s now. He wasted his entire life on this person. Might as well just waste the bit he has left as well. OP. Your wife isn't embarrassed. Neither is she sorry. Or otherwise feels bad for any of what she has done. But she has zero reason to even bother to pretend to come clean or change. As for you believing her, she hasn't cheated since. Why? She's an unrepentant lying serial cheater. Get a paternity test for that kid. I think it's because of insecurity. You are correct. Third story. Am I the a-hole for not having any sympathy for a friend who was cheated on? I know how the title sounds, but let me explain. We all went to high school together and are in our 40s now. In high school, Jim and Kat dated and broke up several times. He cheated on her in a very high school, kissed another girl way at least twice that I knew of as a teen. That drama went on for most of freshman and sophomore year. They broke up junior year, I believe, and then got back together during college. He cheated again in college. That time the excuse was distance as they went to schools in different states. They made up. Got engaged, and he cheated again after a big fight about his mother's treatment of her. That time, to be fair, she had called off the engagement, but not apparently the relationship. A year or two goes by. They get engaged again, and that time they got married. Now, while I like him as a friend, I would never have dated him, much less married him. In my mind. Once a cheat, always a cheat. And we all expressed that to her when she asked back then. But it's her life, and she loved him. So if she likes it, I love it, was my answer after that single conversation about him not knowing how to spell faithful. They had a baby, and you guessed it. He cheated again. Marriage counseling. Making up. And so on. I don't know that he ever was completely faithful, but at least he stopped getting caught. Well, their youngest is in college, and his midlife crisis is a 22-year, 2 years younger than their oldest he was mentoring. Kat is distraught and fed up, and I have kept my mouth shut because I don't have anything nice to say. She called me this weekend and wanted sympathy, and I just don't have it. What he's doing is wrong. But this isn't the first time. I don't think it is even the 5th time. She's upset because none of us are rallying around her, but I don't see the point. More than likely, unless he asks for a divorce, she's going to take him back. I said as much and she hung up on me. Am I the a-hole for telling her that he has always been a cheater, and at some point she has to own up to her choice to keep taking him back? You're not the a-hole. Harsh. But at this point, fair. She knowingly chose to marry. And through the years over and over again choose to stay with a cheater for decades. It sucks, but her behavior would suggest she is okay with this. She may also love the drama and attention she's gotten from her friends when the latest affair is discovered. I suspect this. Too often a certain kind of woman will put up with stuff like this because the man is bringing something else to the table. Usually money. So these women make a conscious decision that comfort is more important than loyalty, and often the children are used as an excuse not to make any changes. Then once the kids are grown, the man has a midlife crisis and wants to marry the secretary, and then the woman acts all brand new as if she didn't know all along that she was living a glitch. Often the thing that hurts them the most is not that the husband cheated, but that people found out and she was forced to deal with it. If he had done it in quiet, then she could have looked past it and pretended like it never happened. I am not the kind of person that thinks a relationship needs to end after cheating if it is a one-off that people learn from and or something that people make a conscious decision to work through and live with once some rules have been established. There is no single recipe for a functioning relationship. Fourth story. Someone I 30 male used to date 27 female told me she had an affair with someone I know. He and the girlfriend he cheated on recently announced they are engaged. Should I say something? I dated someone for a few months who at one point told me she had an affair with a man who was in a 5-year relationship. I know him and his girlfriend and I was appalled. Needless to say, it did not work out with this girl. I know they do not have an open relationship and the girlfriend does not know. She is a really sweet person and I like her a lot. They recently announced their engagement and I felt sick to my stomach when I saw the post. Side note. The girl I dated liked the Instagram announcement. Which is just psychotic to me. I have considered everything from keeping my mouth shut, to creating an anonymous email address and telling the girlfriend, to telling her face to face. I do think I would want to know, if I were her. But part of me thinks I should just mind my own business and not blow these people's lives up. I have not asked anyone I know in my own life as I do not want to start rumors. Too long didn't read. A girl I briefly dated told me she had an affair with the boyfriend of a couple I am friends with. They recently announced their engagement. I do not know if I should say anything or not. I would probably tell her, as I would certainly want to know myself. But I'd also make sure to disclose the source of the information. I generally think we need to assume people are telling the truth about this kind of thing. And I don't know why the girl you dated would lie about sleeping with the guy who just got engaged. But that kind of thing does happen sometimes out of jealousy. Or perhaps just to duck with people. So if you say anything, you probably need to let her know that you are passing on information from X person, and you don't know if she was telling the truth or not. I wouldn't write her an anonymous email saying why cheated on you. The bastard. And offering no further details. It is incredibly unlikely this woman would ever find out you knew this and did not tell her. But imagine that she did find out. She comes to you and asks you why you did not tell her. Could you justify your decision to her? To yourself? You can tell her only exactly what you know. And whether or not an affair happened, you are being completely honest. A woman I dated named Name told me she had an affair with your fiancé while you two were together. This is all of the information I have, and I can't get any more. I am sorry I did not tell you when I first learned of it. If you do know more information that could help her understand the situation, you should give it to her. In what year? Stuff like that. I would have difficulty justifying any other action. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.